me. Streamlabs is straight up killing me right now. Dude, for real, I don't know why Streamlabs is being all funky. Like, I have not had any issues with Streamlabs the past, like, 8 streams we've done. And then tonight, Streamlabs just wants to break my balls. Like, as soon as we try to do a live stream, I'm over it. I'm over messing with Streamlabs tonight. Maybe it's just a slow internet. Maybe it's not. I have no idea, but I'm over it. I'm done with it. I'm done dealing with Streamlabs. Not playing that game anymore. We're just going to YouTube because we always know YouTube has quality like live streams whenever it comes to doing this. So, I mean, Streamlabs could just go burn right now. I'm over it. Over Streamlabs. Hey, Smeed, love the video. If I put Royal Purple in my 2015, is it a problem? Not necessarily, no. When I ran Royal Purple, the only thing I didn't like about it was the fact that it like congealed, coagulated, whatever you want to call it. It became chunky. The oil became chunky after like 3,000 miles. After seeing that come out of my car, I was like, I'm just not doing it again. So I typically tend to stay away from Royal Purple. Oof, dude, tell me about it. I have no idea why Streamlabs is being so dumb tonight. I am like over Streamlabs crap. I legit have no idea why it's doing it. Legit no idea. I know, at least I know with YouTube, like YouTube like fixes everything, so that way for the most part, like 95% of the time, everything is like nice and like smooth and like buttery for the most part. So hopefully this fixes it. Hopefully this fixes it. Yes, you're live. Hope you are having a better night than I am. Dude, I've been jumping around from like live stream platform to like live stream platform, so hopefully this one actually like cooperates with us and actually works. But like Streamlabs definitely was not working for us tonight. If your weather is bad, your whole neighborhood is probably sharing your bandwidth. It's most likely internet bandwidth. It's my experience with Streamlabs. That's actually really good to know. Like, yeah, it's like pretty windy, overcasty, and like poopy outside. I actually didn't know that the weather kind of affected bandwidth like that, but that is definitely good to know. So on clear, sunny days and like times when maybe the entire neighborhood isn't using all of the internet all at once, we can actually use Streamlabs. But for stormy nights like this, YouTube works just fine. I drove an ISF tonight. It was super epic. Low-key jealous. ISFs are nuts. I would love to have an ISF if the opportunity ever came up. I haven't been like looking at them, but I've been playing with the idea of looking at like a BMW, like a 3. I don't even know what series it is. It's a BMW wagon. I don't know what it is, but I want it. No idea why. Thanks, Dad. Anytime, Tommy. I'm here for you, man. How dumb am I for going stage 1 intake from MA Performance for a 2019 WRX? You're not. It's not a dumb move to use an MA Performance like stage 1 setup. As long as you're using the OTS tune provided by MA Performance, you're totally fine to use it. I'm just not a huge fan of MA Performance. You guys know why. As a company, they're just not a company that I'd be willing to order parts from again. But depending on what you're buying from them, like running a stage 1 setup on your car, you're totally fine using the MAP setup. Yeah, they're MAP doing an intake downpipe package with free tune to the buyer. Granted, you also buy an access port. Nobody but MAP Bias has any good content on it. I'd like to see your professional take on the kit. So, I mean, if Streamlabs was working, I could at least pull it up and like cover it with everyone. But, I mean, from my stance, from what we talked about, apparently MA Performance is handicapping the downpipe by, I forget like what verbiage you were talking about, Owen, but they put a handicap on the downpipe to limit how much exhaust can flow out of it at a certain rate. So that way you can use an intake and a downpipe combo on the car. To me, it doesn't seem like it's a smart purchase, because if you're using a handicapped downpipe and you want to make more power later on, it just doesn't make sense to me to buy a downpipe with a handicap on it if you're going to be pushing to make more power. You're going to want the best flowing exhaust that you can, especially coming off of the downpipe or the turbo to the downpipe. You're going to want like a solid flowing exhaust. I can't really see it. I mean, if I could ever get my hands on an MAP kit, like if anyone locally has one, I'd love to see like dyno numbers on it, see how it performs, maybe drive the car a little bit, but I'm not a huge MAP fan. I'm just not a huge fan of them. Intake is included. I see. Good so far. Hey, I'm glad to hear that I'm glad to hear it's good so far. How old is the computer, Fox? It's only a year old. It's like, this is not an old computer at all. I literally only use this iMac for editing. That's it. That's the only time this computer gets used is for editing. So I don't think it's a computer age. I know I should probably swap to a PC at some point, just build a PC and have like a super awesome computer setup. Maybe one day, but for now the MacBook or the iMac's doing its job, I guess. Maybe not. I don't know. Could be the iMac affecting it. Yeah, I tried monitoring it. If it is raining, it can mess with internet speeds. If the lines are underground, they tend to work better. Oh, why don't we just move the lines underground? That makes more sense. That makes a lot more sense. Why don't they do that? Why is that not a thing? Hey, I am back. What's going on, Logan? Happy Friday night, my dude. How long did your turbo kit take never buying from them? The turbo kit that I bought for the BRZ that I bought from MA Performance took right around 5 months. And that was with me in communication with them, following up with them like every couple of days to see what was going on, the status of the kit. They lied to me a couple times about the status of the kit. At one point, they told me everything was good to go except for turbo couplers, and then comes to find out they hadn't done like any of the kit yet. In short, it took like 5 months for me to get my turbo kit. Michael, what's going on? Hello from San Antonio, Texas. Great video on the headers. Are you seeing more Outbacks being used as drift cars? Why is that? Interesting. And thank you on the header compliment, my dude. I mean, Outbacks are cheap cars. You can pick them up for like $1,000 up here. Naturally aspirated ones, though. Plus, I mean, it's pretty like inexpensive to do it. Weld up the front diff, plug the front half shaft holes, and just run all the power to the rear. I've only seen like 1 or 2 Outbacks like converted to drift cars. I see a lot more like GC8 and Brezas being converted to drift cars, and those being converted to rear wheel drive, and people taking those ones out. But Outbacks are cheap. That could just be why you're seeing a lot of Outbacks. Let me clarify. Outback, like naturally aspirated Outbacks, not XTs. XTs are still like expensive. Would go 93, 91 octane. 93 is really only here for me. What's your reservation on the MA? What is with all the MA performance questions tonight? I feel like I'm being set up right now. You guys setting me up? Would go 93 over 91 octane. 93 is really, I mean, if you only have access to 93, use a 93 map. I don't quite understand your question here. You guys know my quarrels with MA performance. But I mean, if you have the option between 93 and 91, use the 93 tune. If you're buying 93 octane, you want the 93 map. Exactly. Felipe, way better. I don't know why YouTube's like working a lot better for us. Do you know if Streamlabs is processing on processor or GPU? I watched a video like of them setting up like how to stream on Streamlabs, and they set it up to make me not use the GPU, and they told me to use like the computer's like processor because it puts less stress on it or something like that. I don't entirely know. I was just following the YouTube video that I watched because I had no idea what I was doing. Oreo, hello. How you doing, dude? I did settle for the access port from them. It's the performance kit, so bundled with the intake too. It's not bad. I mean, you can totally use MA Performance's intake as long as you're using their OTS tune. Do not use Cobb's OTS tune with MA Performance's parts. The parts are not made to work in conjunction like cross-map platform. That's just not how they're supposed to be made. So you're totally fine doing it. Just use MA Performance's stuff. Also, it's unfortunate that it isn't working. I was hoping to get some chat feedback on my build plan. Dude, I'm sorry, my dude. Hopefully, we'll try again tomorrow night with Streamlabs, and hopefully Streamlabs cooperates tomorrow night. It was just being stupid, dropping like 80% of frames every 2 minutes or something like that. I'm tired of dealing with them right now. What's up, man? New subscriber here. What's going on, Neutron? How you doing, my dude? Hopefully you're having a solid Friday night. Not knowing much on Mac's apples, but maybe it could use an update or a patch on the program. Yes, they put lines under. I don't know. I'll try again tomorrow night with Streamlabs, and hopefully Streamlabs cooperates a little bit more. But I mean, YouTube is always a backup platform where it works pretty well for live streams. How much power could I push with my STI on 91 octane with ID 1300 injectors with all supporting mods? I need a little bit more in depth, Zach. Just saying all supporting mods doesn't really give me any information about what's all done to the car or what the car is for that matter. It could be an older WRX EJ series, could be a newer STI, could be an older STI. What turbo are you running? There's a lot more that goes into that rather than me just like spitting out a number. But ID 1300s, I mean, I maxed my 1050s out at 400 wheel horsepower. You could probably touch around 500 wheel horsepower with ID 1300s, but you're probably going to be looking at like 80 to 85% injector duty cycle. Also, if you bump up to like E85 too, it's just going to make injector duty cycle a lot higher. So kind of all depends on how much power you're trying to make, but a little more info needs to be added to that question. Anyone here know what can cause a loss of power on the same map? About 50 to 75 horsepower loss. Tuner will be looking at logs Monday. Granted, I did drive like 2 hours prior to the poll. I'm guessing heat soak. You shouldn't be losing 50 to 70 wheel horsepower off of heat soak. I'm guessing you're judging that off of straight butt dyno. I mean, first thing I would think is maybe you have a boost leak somewhere. I don't know what your fuel trims are looking like or your AFR readings are looking like either. Hopefully your tuner can get it worked out and it's not something like crazy bad. Could just be something in the tune too that needs to be adjusted. Guys, we are almost at 30,000 subs. We are almost at 30,000 subs, you guys. We are like 100 away from 30,000. It'll be awesome. It would be dope if we could hit 30,000 tomorrow night. That'd be awesome. That'd be like sick. We're like 100 away. Well, if we hit 30,000 by tomorrow night, we'll do some merch giveaways. How about that? We'll do some live stream merch giveaways. Everyone likes that. Everyone likes some like sweet stuff. Who doesn't like sweet goodies? MA Performance is typing. I could see that. MA Performance just like hiding in the shadows in the background. Just purchased my first Subi about 2 weeks ago. Congrats on the car, my man. It's a 2018 STI coming from building Hondas. I absolutely love the STI, man. I've learned a lot from your videos, brother. Hey, glad you're enjoying the car, my dude, and happy building. A little bit of a different engine setup than some Hondas, but it's pretty easy to learn. The flat motors, I mean, they can have their quarrels and their issues here and there, but it's nothing that isn't too bad, and everything is pretty easy to work on. But congrats on the car, my dude. Glad you're liking it. Sounds like they're trying to get you to slander MAP. I have no problems with MAP. I have no issues at all with MA Performance. I just personally won't, like, after my buying experience from them, I wouldn't order from them. If you're going to use MAP tunes, use their parts. If you're going to use Cobb tunes, use Cobb parts. MAP has really good, like, fabricators over there. It's just the customer service end wasn't the best when I ordered from them. Since you're not gaming, 100% set it up for GPU. Good to know. I will make sure to write that on my whiteboard right now, GPU, so I don't forget, and hopefully that helps fix it. He doesn't need to. It would take 5 months for a turbo kit no matter what. That's not entirely true. So, I mean, the main issue, I don't know why this is such a hot topic tonight, but the main issue that I had from MAP when I ordered my turbo kit was the communication between the customer service department, them telling me I'm not getting parts that are supposed to come with the kit when I bought the kit, the false lead times that they continued to tell me, as well as some other issues. It's just personal experience. Appreciate the answers. The rev hang from first to second gear is obnoxious. That's why I finally buckled for an access port. I totally do not blame you. When I had my FA20 WRX, it was a 16 and a 17. The rev hang was awful. I absolutely hated the rev hang. It was fine for me when you were on Streamlabs. Why was it fine? It wasn't fine for me. It kept telling me I was dropping like 80 to 90% of frames. Do I follow A Roman Racing? If so, thoughts on his recent crash? I have absolutely no idea who A Roman Racing is, but I will definitely check it out because I'm a little curious. I was watching, what was it? While the powder coat was curing in the oven today, you ever just find yourself on YouTube scrolling through like weird, like random videos? Like, I don't know how I got to this point, but I got from watching Nuremberg crashes to watching people in Japan make candy. Have you guys ever gone like down the dark rabbit hole of YouTube and you just end up in some weird places? I believe you can stream and check your frame rates before you broadcast live, if I remember correctly. I haven't seen anything that says I can. It just kind of like lets me do it, and it doesn't let me do like a test, which is kind of weird. I don't know why it does that, but I'll get it figured out. I am not like, when it comes to new apps, there's a learning curve for me. Do you ever consider using the engine from the Tribeca adding a turbo and placing in the STI versus your current setup. I debated using, I believe that one's a 3.0R. I debated using it, but there are so many more similarities with the EG33 over to an EJ257 that that's one of the major reasons why I went with the EG. The EG bolts right up to the STI 6-speed. The motor design is relatively the same to an EJ because it's essentially just an EJ22 with an extra cylinder on it or 2 extra cylinders on it. So there are just a lot more similarities with the EG33 versus like an EZ30 or an EZ36 that made me want to go with the EG33. A lot of people do question, Tanner, why are you using a motor that is 25 years old in a newer car? I mean, if you think about it, the EJ has been around for what, 20, 25 years also. So, I mean, in comparison, they've been around about the same time. Thanks for the header video. Do you need a new tune if you go with equal length headers? You do need to either get a retune, get a pro tune, get some type of tune. You can't just throw on equal length headers and the car will run happy hunky dory. You will unfortunately need to get a tune. So that's why in the last video of like the modification guide that I made, just kind of like bundle up a lot of parts that you're doing all at once, install them all, get a base tune, then go get pro tuned. Solid brother, I just turned 33, so it's a birthday gift to myself. Hey, happy late or... Yeah, you just turned 33. Happy late birthday, dude. I've wanted one since I was a senior in high school, aiming for about 300 wheel horsepower, keeping it reliable. I totally feel it, dude. 300 wheel horsepower is definitely fun on that car. I was comparing logs on Virtual Dyno and comparing previous and current logs. Interesting. Virtual Dyno, is that like a website or something? I've not heard of this before. This works fine, just tossing some help if I can, though you should give using your GPU next time. I will prioritize GPU for the next one. The CPU seems to be a bit overwhelmed, and the GPU isn't doing much, especially since you were using your Apple as a damn brain freeze. I feel it. I'll swap it over to GPU on the next stream tomorrow night, and hopefully that does help clear things up so it doesn't continue to like completely freak out and melt down on itself. Need to get you featured on Life of Palos or something like that so you can get more subs. Quality content, and definitely surprised you don't have more already. Keep up the great work. So the thing is a lot of people say like they're surprised I don't have a lot more subs. It's the videos that I make are very niche videos, like specific to pretty much only the Subaru community. I feel like as soon as like I start venturing outside of Subarus a little bit more, it'll gain a lot more traction. But right now, really just focused on Subarus, trying to help out the Subaru community as much as I can. Hey, Alex, appreciate the dono, man. Got a bail. Keep it up. Hope you have a solid Friday night, and hopefully you have something planned for this evening. But appreciate the dono, dude. Everything that you guys donate goes directly back into the channel, whether it be for the STI, BRZ, maybe Streamlabs to not like poop on us or something like that. But definitely appreciate it, my dude. As for Life of Palos, I will have to look that one up because I've never heard of that one before. How reliable is my 2015 stock block? What is your car, my friend? Is that a WRX or an STI? Regardless, I mean, the STI is totally reliable. FA20 WRX, pretty reliable. The only main issue that you might have is if you start to make a lot more power, your connecting rods are, they like to go when you start making a lot of power in those FA20s. But for an STI, I mean, you're pretty much solid. You set up the engine right, you shouldn't have any issues. FA20, you set up the engine right, you shouldn't have any issues either. But just keep an eye on like connecting rod strength. Don't be trying to like push the block to the moon and back because it's definitely just not going to happen. A Roman Racing. I'm gonna have to check that out. I'm gonna have to check that one out. Hi, hello Eddie. I have a 2014 WRX on a Stage 1 plus MAP with SF intake and nameless catback exhaust. I want to buy a downpipe and wondering if I need to jump to Stage 2 MAP or Pro Tune. You can definitely use a Stage 2 OTS tune such as Cobb. I mean, if you are running the Cobb SF intake, I would get the Cobb catted downpipe, and then you can use the Cobb Stage 2 Plus tune, since that's going to be a turbo back and an intake. You shouldn't have any issues, although just keep an eye on it. Sometimes OTS tunes don't always like to communicate with all cars they're used on out there. So if you get like reduced dam, increased feedback knock, increased fine knock clearance, things like that, at that point I would either get an E-tune or go get a Pro tune. If you are going to get a Pro tune at that point, like a dyno or a street tune, go ahead and get like a bundle of parts, maybe like a boost controller and a couple other goodies to throw on the car, and that'll definitely wake it up a little bit more. Ended up watching how mummies are stored in pyramids, but before I was watching, see, I mean, you can get like sucked down the weird rabbit hole of YouTube and end up in some weird videos. I was watching dams burst the other day. No idea how I got to those videos, but for some reason, dams exploding. Kind of cool to watch. I watch some of the Nuremberg crashes and lap times. The Nuremberg like crashes are always interesting to me. Like sometimes I feel like people know they're clearly coming in way too hot to a corner and then just like full send flat out all the way through and then just like bounce off the wall. I mean, like 90% of the time they seem like they're all right. The other 10%, hopefully they're all right. Will the OTS tunes from Cobb tune out rev hang on GDWRXs? I haven't really seen any rev hang on GDWRXs before. They're also, I mean, you shouldn't have any rev hang on GDWRXs. They should all be like older EJ series. They should be pretty responsive, especially the older ones that are still drive-by cable instead of drive-by wire. So I'm not quite sure which ones you're referring to on that one, my man. I got a 2005 STI with IAG Stage 2 Tough Block, IAG Top Feed, TGV Delete, braided fuel lines, APR fuel pressure regulator, ID1300's top feed, and fuel rail, sequential fuel flow versus traditional grid speed top mount intercooler with a wide pipe, intake and splitter for top mount intercooler, NVIDIA turbo back. Jesus, dude, you got a lot of stuff going on here. Might be forgetting random other mods like 4-bar and 3-bar boost controller. Is there more to this question, or is you just like naming off mods, dude? Because you got a lot of mods there. Also, Fox, welcome, my dude, to the membership program, my friend. It has been far too long in the making. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, Fox. Welcome, Fox. Just wondering about a downpipe, and now look. Give your take on buying a used STI. Any TSBs on certain years, recalls. Something a noob won't know about before you buy. So, I mean, if someone is out there looking to buy one, I was just wondering about a downpipe, and now look, give your take on buying a used STI. I have no issues with buying used STIs. I prefer buying my STIs used versus buying them brand new because I know I'm going to modify them. I know I'm going to avoid the warranty on them. They're generally cheaper, and you have a bit more options to pick what you want from. Only TSBs that I know of that you should be aware of are pretty much only on the FA20WRX. Aside from that, the rest of them are going to be like all airbag kind of stuff like that. So, I mean, you should be pretty solid, dude. Pick what you want. Personally, I like GD chassis 05 to 07. I mean, you can get a bug eye if you want, but if you're looking for an STI 04 to 07, but I don't really like the 04 STIs just for the 5x100. Bolt pattern, just not really worth it to me. At Alex H, I like the more frequent live streams. That's what I'm saying. I like doing the more frequent live streams. I enjoy it. I enjoy kicking it and doing live streams with you guys. All wrecks can be scary. I've been in a head-on collision with a drunk driver and crossed the center. Ooh, I'm sorry to hear, dude. Hopefully you're all right. Hopefully it wasn't too bad. I crashed the BRZ a couple weeks ago, so I totally feel it. What are my thoughts on the WRX CVT? I think the CVT is a really good option for people who want something that isn't automatic. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the CVT transmission. Melanie's Impreza has the CVT in it, and whenever I play with it, it's a little, I don't want to call it laggy, but it's a little bit laggy. But overall, I mean, it's solid. You don't really have many issues with them. Whenever it comes to like modifying a WRX with a CVT for horsepower, like around 300 to around 320 wheel horsepower, is typically where the CVT likes to start throwing a fit. So you do just need to keep that in mind when it comes to modifying, or if you're out there purchasing one. And yet I don't own a Subi. LOL, I just like his personality. Always appreciate it, Jay. Always appreciate it, my man. It's an application some guy made. It's fairly accurate, reads close to actual dyno numbers. Had a friend with a 350 wheel horsepower WRX spec. Interesting. I'm kind of curious to go test that out later. This virtual dyno. Virtual dynos. Have you had a chance to use your DW06 in the snow? I actually have. So last year, when I was still working full time. I had to commute up to work. It was probably about a 15-mile one-way trip. Definitely snowed on the way up to work a couple times. I'm going to tell you guys this now. All season tires, they are not a dedicated winter tire. Let me tell you that now. If you get like a lot of snow, a lot of ice, all season tires are not for you. I would definitely get a set of winter tires. But where it snows occasionally up here, you can pretty much get away with all seasons every now and then. Just keep in mind that even though your car's all-wheel drive, if you don't have the proper tires on it, you're not going to be going anywhere at all. You're not going to be retaining traction, and you're going to be sliding all over the place. But the DW06s, when I did use them in the snow and the ice, obviously ice they did absolutely nothing on because it's ice. There's nothing to grip onto. But in the snow, they did pretty good in the snow. I mean, if I wanted to kick it out, I could definitely kick it out, but it had enough traction to where you feel comfortable and safe driving the car. Especially once, like, if you get into like super deep snow though, then obviously they're not going to be the best tire out there. But for just general snow use, I mean, they were just fine. Oh, my brain went into brain freeze mode. LOL, I lost train of thought. You said something and I went blank. You do a lot of editing, so your GPU can handle the streaming over the CPU, as said. Okay, GPU it is then. We're going with GPU from now on. Life of Palos mentioned another channel I follow, and they went from 5K to 10K subs in 2 weeks. What? I mean, good for them. That's awesome. I'm curious. I'm going to have to check out Life of Palos. What are my thoughts on the 2022 Subaru WRX? It is pretty much the same as the current WRX, I believe, unless it's the one with the FA24 in it. But the model year hasn't really been released for when they're actually going to be doing it. Rumor is 2022, but we'll see. I saw more concept pictures coming out of this new motor, new chassis design coming out, and it looks exactly like the one that I made a video on a couple months ago. So we'll see. I'm not a huge fan of how the body looks on it. The FA24, I've talked a lot about that in the past, so I'm not going to go too much into it, but Prime Motoring's done a lot with their FA24 testing. I think that there's a lot more to come in the years after the FA24 has been released. But something that you guys need to keep in mind is don't plan on modifying a new FA24 STI like you would any other STI. The EJ257 has just been around for, 15 years in the United States alone. That's a lot of R&D time for parts to come out. So the FA24, it is going to take some time for parts to come out, maps to come out, OTS tunes, access port, that kind of stuff. It's a completely revamp of absolutely everything. So modification-wise, it is going to take a little while for the FA24 to get up to speed with everything else. Thought the brain freeze comment does not work with the Apple is doing. Thanks for the info. Anytime, Eddie. I'm days away from receiving my very modded STI. I would like to have it pro-tuned to feel confident with itself. What do you recommend I look for in a pro tuner? That's a good question. So there's a lot of pro tuners out there that you can go to. Something that is like you should do prior to like deciding on a tuner is, do you want a dyno tune? Do you want an e-tune? Do you want a street tune? These are all different platforms of pro tuners. If you don't have access to a tuner who has access to a dyno, a dynamometer, it's what they use to strap your car down to. They run the rollers on it and they tune it that way. If you don't have access to someone with that, then you're going to want to look for someone who can e-tune. Now, before you just find the first person who has a dyno in your area, make sure they're like knowledgeable in the engine and the tuning software that you're going to be using. Pretty much 95% of tuners out there who touch WRXs and STIs all use a program called Access Tuner. It's created by Cobb. It works in conjunction with the access port. So if you are going to get a pro tune and you're going to a tuner, 95% of the time they're going to need you to have an access port. So you're definitely going to need one of those prior. But look for tuners in your area who are comfortable with either the FA20, the EJ series, cars they've tuned in the past. Ask them questions. I always like to, whenever it comes to me talking to my tuners, I like my tuners to be very open with me, very straightforward, to the point. I don't like them beating around the bush. I don't like I'll always take a tuner's recommendation whenever it comes to part setups, but sometimes you got to take them with a little bit of grain of salt, because I have seen shops out there try to take advantage of people and like upcharge them on parts they don't need, tunes they don't need, all this other stuff. So just kind of get a feel for the tuner, ask them questions, make sure they're versed or well versed in the engine that you're having them tune. What are your thoughts on the WRX CVT? We touched on that one. We already answered that question. My dude, love all the videos. Been a sub for a while now, and you've really helped me out with my WRX build. Keep them coming anytime, my dude. Anytime, my dude. I'm glad the videos are helping. What's good? What's good? What's good, my dude? Oh, see, the chat always does this. Doesn't matter what platform I'm in. Ordered an NVIDIA N1 single outlet catback and a cylinder 4 cooling mod today. Still kind of on the fence about calling them and canceling the NVIDIA N1 for the Tomei Extreme. Personally, I like the NVIDIA N1 over the Tomei. I think the Tomei's muffler is a little bit too big. It sticks out a little bit too far, and it's at too much of an angle for my liking. I've ran the NVIDIA N1 single exit on plenty of cars before. It's a good exhaust. It is like well budgeted, and it sounds quality. Yeah, my GD didn't have the rev hang. I'm very confused on this GD rev hang thing that has been brought up. Tomei is a lot louder also. Kind of depends on how loud you want to be, though. Pro tuned car made 350 wheel horsepower with E77 and 308 wheel horsepower. Still debating if I should get a bigger turbo on this stock block. It's a 2015 STI with full bolt-ons, downpipe. Pro car made 350. That's pretty. I mean, that's pretty good on E77, 350 wheel horsepower. You could probably stretch that out to 400. I touched 400 on E85 with an FP Blue. Similar setup. I was on I think it was like E78, E75, somewhere in that range. And you could definitely make more power if you want to. You're going to end up running out of injector. I can tell you that right now, especially with like 1,000 cc's. I had 1050s and we maxed out our injectors. What we did was we bumped up fuel pressure to kind of emulate having 1,200 cc injectors versus having the 1050s. But your injectors are going to be your limiting factor there if you try to make more power. Just do keep that in mind. I feel like I'd rather have the vehicle hop over the barrier in Nuremberg than hit it. The amount of money it costs. Dude, for real, I watched a lot. I watched a couple of them flip. I watched a couple of them just bounce off the barrier. I'd be fine just bouncing off the barrier. Just let me bounce off the barrier. Let me go my merry way if I'm going to crash into the barrier at the Nuremberg ring. But some people just full send straight into the wall. I'm like, Jesus. Yeah, it was way overdue, honestly. Well, welcome, my friend. Welcome, Fox. Totally agree with them entering into turns way too fast. Some of the rolls are nasty. Even playing on Forza or GT is rough. What's your best lap time and car choice? I don't even have it. I don't even know. I play Forza every now and then, but I don't ever like do it for lap times or anything like that. On Forza, I'm such a boring person on Forza too. Like I'll sit down, I'll be like, all right, I'm going to make my own cars. I have a BRZ and an STI made on Forza. Outside of those though, I like the S13 I have on there. The Porsche that I play with. There's a lot of cars on Forza that I've too much time has been spent on Forza. I had asked earlier, but how much can oh, got you. That's why you sent your whole mod list. All right, 1,300 injectors. Let me scroll back up here to the giant mod list because I'm a little bit confused when everything came through. I'm really just looking for turbo here. What is a 2005 STI? You have built block, FP inlet tube, either FP green or FP blue. I haven't decided yet which to buy. If I were you, dude, I would get the FP green. With the FP green and the 1,300 injectors, with all the other mods you got going on, like 450 wheel horsepower is easily achievable for you. E85 will bump that up a little bit more, but I do think that you'd be able to hit 450 with those 1,300s no problem on pump gas. But once you start throwing E85 into the mix, you're going to be like, it's going to get a little bit more dicey on how much power you're making because I can't really estimate that. Typically, E85, from what I've seen, gives like a 60 to 70 wheel horsepower bump over pump gas. So, I mean, hopefully, once you get it tuned and you figure out turbo choice, dude, let me know because I'm curious on see how much power you make. Welcome, new member Fox. That's what I'm saying. If I buy a used Sti Wrx, make sure the guy isn't a teenager because there is a pretty high chance it might have beaten on it. I mean, you could buy any Wrx for Sti. It doesn't really matter if they're a teenager or not. Like, obviously, the chances of them being younger and having the car, they're going to be beating on the car a little bit more. But don't buy any of my used cars don't ever buy any of my used cars because I like really beat on mine. I take care of them, but I definitely beat on them. And I had 4.44 gears, so I was sitting at 3,900 RPM. Ooh, that sounds kind of nice, actually. 3,900 RPM, that wouldn't be like crazy loud either. Maintenance on the CVT is really rough here. Nowhere nearby that will work on them without replacing brand new. What's going on with your CVT, dude? What's wrong with it? Did I miss something? Did I miss like an issue with your CVT popping up? AJW, she's a stunt driver drift racer. Okay, gotcha. Caught Paolo's attention for sticking a note on the DDE's car at the hotel saying, oh, I will have to check that out. The hospital I was at sent to want to treat me for cystic fibrosis and not the car wreck. Doctor said I had a minor concussion on my sternum. Talked to my specialist. Oh, not good. Not good, dude. Hopefully it's hopefully it was somewhat recoverable and it wasn't like terribly bad. I know those like accidents can get gnarly sometimes. It can do a lot of damage. What's up? What's up, Kevin? What up, Steven? Welcome. Any recommendation for all season tires? Been hearing a lot about the DWSX, but interested in experiencing other options or exploring other options too. Michelin makes a pretty good all season tire. I don't know what the name of the Michelin one is. I believe it's Pilot 4S, maybe. I think that 4 seasons. That makes sense. Pilot 4S, 4 seasons. Pilot 4S. That's actually a really good tire. It's just a lot more expensive than the DW06s. It was pretty nasty. It was on a 45-mile-per-hour road. She tried cutting a corner and turning down a side street. Her car was nuked and ripped off the driver's side of the... Ooh, God, that sounds awful. Is it realistic to get into tuning as a... oh, geez. Why did we just jumped out? Is it realistic to get into tuning as a DIY or hobbyist? 100% it is. They have a lot of tuning classes you can do online. I've contemplated taking some of them in the past. I just haven't had the kahunas to go ahead and try to tune my own car, mainly because I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. And right now, obviously, one of my cars has to be running at all times, while the other one is a massive paperweight. But it's definitely, that's how a lot of people like get into it, is they start like DIYing stuff. They do a lot of research. They do a lot of like their own learning before they go and get certified. So that way, when they do go to like a tuning course, they have like a background of understanding. So that way it's a little bit easier to do it. But that is something that I have been curious on doing myself. Ooh, got to go, but Subscriber Garage better be tomorrow. We'll do Subscriber Garage tomorrow night. We'll do a couple cars. If you guys want to send any over, feel free to, and we can definitely add them to the list for tomorrow. As long as Streamlabs is cooperating with us tomorrow, because they have been a little butthole-ish tonight. Stock block with forged internals or buy a pre-build block. That, I mean, you're obviously going to be saving money if you do your own. But if you're just having it outsourced and having someone else do it, you might be better off just buying a pre-built block. But then again, you also have to look into some engine builders used seasoned blocks. Other people use new case halves, and over time you'll obviously get heat expansion in the motor, and that kind of dwindles out to a point where you get like a couple thou here and there that shift. So I mean, it comes down to it. Personally, if I were you, I would just buy a pre-built block. Unless you're comfortable tearing yours apart and doing it yourself, you're going to be looking at relatively the same price anyway, or either way. Unless you're like having an engine builder do it, because then it's going to get expensive also. But I mean, if you are doing it at home in your garage, you're building your own motor, that is 100% going to be my recommendation to you if you know what you're doing. It's definitely going to cut down on costs quite a bit. Oh, Melanie's just running by in the hallway. CS Gray, what it do, dude? What it do? What's going on, dude? Upgrades on a WRX CVT. There's not a lot of whole upgrades you can do on a CVT transmission, unfortunately. What are you trying to do to it? Like, what are you trying to achieve out of the CVT? Get a manual WRX. Is it possible to make a system that allows you to choose between all-wheel drive and cutting all power to the front, so you have a rear-wheel drive Subi, Drift, STI, anyone? I have seen a video. I've seen one person do this where they can hit a button and it like converts from all-wheel drive to rear-wheel drive. I have no idea how they do it though, because it's a mechanical system that like has the front half shafts into the transmission, so they're always going to be spinning. So unless you can create some type of electronic like spline that disengages the front half shafts from the actual front diff, I don't know how it would do that. But I've seen someone do it. I have absolutely no idea how they did do it though. Tome for life sounds so good. It does sound good. It's just the way it looks just isn't for me. I'm replacing my VF52 tomorrow. Is it hard? No, it's not too bad. the hardest part of pulling out the stock turbo is putting the intercooler back on, putting the stock top mount intercooler back on. That is definitely the worst part. But no, it's pretty simple, straight to the point. You don't have to pull off the headers. You don't have to pull off the up pipe. You are going to have to pull off the down pipe, but I mean, that's not too bad to do. Off topic. Oh, I like off topic questions. But do you like horror movies? And so what is your favorite? I mean, everyone likes horror movies. I like horror movies. What was the recent? We watched a recent one. I don't remember the name of it. It was really weird though. It was like this couple went out to sea. There's a whole bunch of like weird spooky stuff going on. I don't know. I like jump scare movies. Jump scare movies are probably a pretty good one that I always like. Always a solid go-to. Neutron. Okay, you made me feel better about my purchase. Add me on IG. I don't really add too many people on IGs, but I mean, I try to get back to your guys' DMs whenever you guys DM me on Instagram. Sorry, it's like always super busy. I do what I can. Current one is blown, LOL, so just replacing it. I would just replace it at that point. Just replace that turbo. Pull it out. Super easy to do. My STI in Gran Turismo is nasty. Best lap time I've done is an 8-minute mark. I'm definitely going to have to give it a try. It is rough driving using a controller. My buddy has like a full like racing sim, and that thing is so difficult to drive. It's more difficult to drive his racing sim than it is a normal car. Don't know why, but for some reason it is. What made you like Subarus? I bought one, and then it like sucked me in. So my first car was a 1988 Subaru XT Coupe, and then from there, just it kind of sucked me into Subarus. And everyone when they're younger, when you saw like a WRX or an STI driving by, you're like, God, I want one of those. They sound gnarly. They look insane. They're like awesome cars. And I just got sucked into this black hole of Subaru, and now here we are. I've been like 20 Subarus deep now. Love them. Love it. I want a Nissan next, though. I want to mix it up. I want to get something outside of Subaru as a next car, though. I saw a bunch of posts lately talking about the wheel lug studs snapping or breaking. Never had that happen on my 16. I have never on any car that I've ever had in all of existence had a wheel stud snap, strip, break, anything on me. I don't know what is happening to all of these wheel studs out there that is causing them to break, but I've never had a wheel stud break. Hey, man, I have an issue. Ooh. I have a 2015 STI, just added a radium dual pump hanger with a single Wabro 450. I was driving and the car died, so I checked, and I have no power going to the pump. Check your fuse. That also depends. So I literally just did this on my STI a couple days ago where I wired in the dual fuel pumps. I had to wire 2 fuel pumps in, but I don't know how you wired it because mine is hardwired to the car. Both of mine are hardwired to the car. Check the fuses, check the relay, check the signal wire also, because I'm assuming that you hardwired it in. So check the signal wire going from the stock harness up to the new fuel pump. If something came loose or if something wiggled around a little bit, that's your signal wire to the fuel pump. So if that signal wire, it's the green with yellow stripe, I believe. That's the signal wire. If that like wiggled loose or that like came undone a little bit, it's not going to send like any signal to the fuel pump to tell it when to turn on or not. Turn that like button blue. The engine bay on the Subaru. Do it. Do it. Only 17 people smashed that like button so far. I don't know what's going on. Don't even know what's going on. 18. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. 20. There we go. Jesus. Sorry if you answered. I got a phone call and had to mute. Did you answer the DW06 question? I did answer the DW06 question. It's somewhere like back in the stream a little bit more. 29. There we go. That's what I'm saying. 31. Everyone been sleeping on that like button. So I'm just giving you guys shit. CVT equals trash. I mean, CVT is a very good option for people who, A, don't know how to drive manual, don't want to drive a manual, or have some ailment that doesn't allow them to drive a manual. CVT is a good option. Personally, if you're looking for like straight performance gains, though, obviously a manual transmission is going to be the better option to go on that route. Oh my goodness, dude, my thing just like totally jumped down. The fuse under the hood is not blown, and the relay is fine. As well, I'm lost. The car won't start, and I don't hear the pump prime. I need help. I would definitely check that signal wire, that green with yellow stripe, to make sure that it is still connected, because that is going to be your signal wire for the fuel pump. Lightweight flywheel and Subaru should not be in the same sentence. OEM flywheel is good enough. I have a lightweight flywheel on the BRZ. Does that count as like a Subaru, though? I mean, it's like a Toyobaru. We're running a lightweight flywheel in the STI with the new setup. I mean, I see nothing wrong with them. Lightweight crank pulleys. That's where I draw the line, though. That's kind of where I draw the line. I don't have a CVT, but folks in the area that have CVTs that start to have transmission issues end up having to replace new. Nobody tries to work. There's a company in New York, I believe they're in New York, called Level 10 Performance. They do a lot of automatic transmission work. If anyone does have any issues with them or with their CVTs, I would definitely give like Level 10 Performance a call and see if there's something that they can help do. Level 10 Performance is the one, or they are the ones who built Matt's automatic transmission in his Outback XT. For those of you guys that have seen Matt's car, he has, or that haven't seen Matt's car, he has like a 2006 Outback XT. It's got a built short block stock heads with a built Level 10 Performance automatic 5 EAT in the car. They did an awesome job with building that trans. So I would definitely reach out to them if anyone does have any like CVT questions about building them, repairing them, replacing parts. They might have some stuff in stock also. They're really going to be the go-to for any like automatic transmission work that I can think of. Hey, Smeedia, I got a homie who bought a beater, 2016 STI. What kind of 2016 STI is a beater? And at Blue, he's looking into a block from Crawford, but is confused in the whole process on what to do after he gets it. Any recommendations? So after he gets the new block, he needs to pull out the old motor. He needs to pull his heads off of the old motor, send the heads out to a machine shop, have them resurfaced. Once they come back from being resurfaced, new head gasket, bolt them all up to make a long block, bolt it back down in the car, and then just replace all the accessories back onto the new motor. Make sure you do engine break-in properly when you go to first start it. Go get it tuned. You should be good to go at that point, or your buddy should be good to go at that point. I heard for the 2020 STI, they put forged pistons in it. I'm not sure, though. So you are referring to the 2019 and Plus Type RA short block. They did not necessarily put forged pistons in it. They are stronger. They also, I believe they fixed the ring gap on the piston rings also, so that way they're a little bit more stronger, but I do not necessarily think that they're forged. I don't think Subaru would drop the dime to start putting like forged internals in all cars that they're sending out to manufacturing. I don't think they're forged pistons, just upgraded internals. I'm pretty sure they're just upgraded internals with a fixed ring gap. So that way the ring gap is a little bit different than it is on older Subarus. I want my CVT upgrades to be reliable without voiding the warranty. That is a sentence that just can't, unfortunately that'll never happen. You go to modify the CVT at all, Subaru's going to throw a fit if anything goes wrong with it. And they're not gonna uphold any part of the warranty aspect. Something that I see a lot of people comment on whenever it comes to like modifying cars and warranties. A lot of people bring up the Magnuson-Moss Warranty Act. Something that everyone kind of needs to get a little bit of a grasp on is the Magnuson-Moss Warranty Act doesn't protect you as a consumer if you modify your car outside of the bounds of how it came from the factory. The Magnuson-Moss Warranty Act was kind of made as a bill to allow third-party manufacturers and vendors to make OEM replacement parts. And then if you use one of those OEM replacement parts from that third-party manufacturer on your car, the manufacturer who made the car can't deny your warranty based off of that. Now, over the years, obviously, things have changed a little bit. And some companies, like car companies, are okay with you modifying the car to an extent. But just keep in mind that a warranty is put on the car of how it came from the factory and not necessarily on how you modify it. Has the STI RA block in it? The 2020 does. What did they upgrade? We talked about that a little bit. They would need a transmission setup like the current GTR has 2 drive shafts. I do believe so I think that's for the rear-wheel drive question. How often should I change my complete drivetrain fluids? Also, when I do, what's the best company to go with? So I do mine every 20,000 miles. I use Motul 75 weight 90 or 75 W90. It's just the grade of the gear oil. I use it in both my transmission and my rear differential. I haven't had any issues with it. I found that going past 20K miles on the driveline setup, the fluid gets pretty dirty. Those differentials and transmission get a lot hotter than most people think. If you go watch the video of me doing the gear oil in the STI, I did that at 20,000 miles, and you can see how bad the gear oil in the transmission, or the gear oil and the diff oil, came out. It was gross. It looked like a metallic brown rainbow. But definitely Motul 7590 is always going to be my go-to for any type of transmission fluid, or not transmission fluid because that's different. Any type of gear oil that you're going to be using. What are some solid aftermarket seats for daily driving? Corbeau has some pretty solid seats for daily driving. Matt has them in his car. They are reclinable. They're heated. They're definitely bucketed. They're like a pretty good price too. I think you got both seats for around $1,200. I don't think they're FIA approved if you're looking to track the car, but as like a good daily driver seat, Corbeau makes some really good seats. Thank you for replying on the question. I love watching your channel, man. I learn a lot from your videos. Hey, anytime, my dude. What's the best thing to work on with WRXs besides head gasket? What's the worst thing to work on? Are you talking about like general maintenance? So obviously, I mean, like a blown up block is going to be the worst thing to work on because the whole thing has to come out. Clutches are pretty annoying to do because you have to either drop the drivetrain or pull the motor. I always pull the motor whenever it comes to doing any type of like clutch replacement on any WRX or STI. Valve cover gaskets are pretty annoying just because they sit so close to the frame rail. Oil pan seal. Sealing the oil pan with the oil pan still in the car. That is the number one worst, definitely worst thing. If you guys haven't pulled off an oil pan with the motor still in the car, dear God, it's awful. It is terrible. JB, hi. He has a video on changing fluids and maintenance intervals. I do. Hi, JB, we doing this? Hi. And then the spam. I know, right? I don't know why. Stefan, I see your comment. Made me LOL. I'm probably not going to share that with everyone, though. I bought an 06 STI intake manifold and want to put it on my 14 WRX for the build. Is it possible? So it's not swap them. I was told I can. You cannot just swap from a WRX manifold to an STI manifold. There's a lot more that goes into it. So on a WRX manifold, you have the throttle body in a completely different location. I mean, I guess you can, but it's kind of a weird setup. You're going to have to get a turbo adapter for that setup. You're going to have to get a different throttle body. Your throttle body location is going to be in a different area, which means you're going to need a new intercooler. They don't make drop-in kits for it, so you're going to have custom-made intercooler piping, at least for where it connects to the throttle body and where it connects to the turbo. So, I mean, it'll pretty much bolt right up, but for the most part, it's not necessarily a direct swap like whoever told you that. Flash M 370Z. I would love a 370Z. I used to have a 350Z. Love that car. That was actually my first real car purchase that I bought like on my own when I turned 18. I think I was 18. Yeah, 18 was a 350Z. I love that car. I'd love to get a 370 one day. My torque converter is going out. How hard is it to drop in and put back in the trans, or should I shell out the $1,200 to get it fixed? I'm not very experienced. If you're going to do it, I would pull the motor and do it that way. It's a lot easier to get to the inner workings of the like inside of the transmission, inside the bell housing, to just pull the motor and do it that way versus dropping the transmission. If you don't feel comfortable pulling the motor, then definitely shell out the $1,200 and just have it done by someone else. But it's really not too bad to do as long as you pull the motor to do it. We lurk. I can tell. Hello, my friend. Do you know who this is? Clean 87 sedan. Brody. This is Brody. This is my friend Brody, everyone. Everyone say hello to Brody. AJW, I've had 3 wheel studs snap. How are you guys? What is happening to wheel studs that's causing everyone to snap wheel studs? How much money do you think someone needs for a full stupid charge speed build? Charge speed parts are not cheap. Charge speed parts get like expensive quick. If you guys are looking to do charge speed stuff, you got some deep pockets. Can you explain more in why I can't have a downpipe and intake on a 2015 plus STI this time? Is it possible? I do plan on a prone tune. Yeah, we can talk about it. So, why can't you run an intake and a downpipe on the 2015 plus STI? So, Owen, who was in here earlier, I don't know if he's still in the stream, Owen pointed out that MAP does offer a downpipe and an intake that does work together on the 2015 plus, but it puts a handicap on the downpipe. So essentially what it's doing is it's limiting the velocity and how much exhaust can come out of the downpipe. When you swap when you swap a downpipe onto the car and you replace your OEM downpipe with a new one, it creates just a lot more efficient exhaust flow. And that's also going to make the turbo spool a little bit quicker. Now, when you're running an intake and a downpipe, you're asking a lot more of the car, and the stock fuel system on the car just cannot keep up with the requested power essentially. So you're maxing out your injectors, you're maxing out your fuel pump, and your fuel pressure regulator is really limiting how much fuel is going up in there. So the car is going to run lean. If you look at some of my super early videos, you can see that I had this problem. This is why Cobb does not make a Stage 2 Plus map for the 2015 Plus STI, is that the fuel system in the car from the factory just cannot support it. Now, do I think you should go and get an MAP downpipe that's limiting the amount of exhaust flow? No, I don't think you should. I think you should do it the proper way, because then you're going to be buying 2 downpipes, because at some point later down the road, you're going to be wanting to make more power. And then that downpipe the downpipe with the handicap on it is really going to be limiting how much exhaust is actually going to be flowing off of the turbo. So I don't necessarily think it is worth it. If you're going to do it right, get the fuel injectors, fuel pump, fuel pressure regulator at minimum, and you're just fine to run them both. Fox Toyobaru. Have you never heard Toyobaru before? I've been running the IAG air oil separator in my 16 WRX per your recommendation. Used to smell oil when sending, but nothing now. Engine saver. Anytime I do that, IAG setup is awesome. JB boring. JB, what's wrong? Why are you here then, dude? What's going on, JB? Why are you bored? What's going on, dude? You want to talk? Sayatobaru. About to hit 80K on my 15 STI. Anything I need to check out? No, not necessarily, but you are coming up on timing belt and water pump, so do keep that in mind. That is going to be an expensive service if you are not doing it yourself. Is there a transmission place by me? Oh, there is a transmission place by me that did a lot of work on a variety of stuff. They are Ohio. Yeah, Ohio's a little bit of a drive. Yo, dude, I'm looking at Cosmos Racing 18 by 9.5 plus 35 R1 wheels and 265/35 all seasons on my 2020. Do you think I will have any fitment problems? Are you lowered or are you on stock suspension? If you're on stock suspension, you'll probably be just fine. Are you STI or WRX though? No, you should be fine. You should totally be fine. Depending on like height of the car. If you're on like coilovers and you're slammed, then obviously not so much. If you're stock height, you should be good. If you are on coilovers, you might need to make a few adjustments to the suspension to fit them properly. Fitment Industries does have a lot of good stuff. You can definitely go check it out there to see if anyone has done a similar setup. Jeez, dude, the chat just jumps on me. It's like, boop. What's up, bro? I just came back from my ProTune 2015 STI with new Cobb GSEI catted downpipe. What should I do next? Flick? I'm guessing you meant from an intercooler. What all do you have aside from just a downpipe? I mean, if you only have a downpipe, you can always do like a bypass valve to prepare for when you're making more boost. Injectors, fuel pump, Cobb fuel stumble fix kit, or dedicated fuel pressure regulator, fuel rails, TGV deletes. The world is your oyster, my friend. There are a lot of possibilities. It all depends on what you want to do. Sounds to CS Gray. Waiting for the ferry. Super happy to catch a stream. That's what I'm saying. Ferries. I haven't taken a ferry in years. I forgot ferries were a way of transportation. Hopefully it's pretty chill out there. It's been cold outside. It's supposed to be like 26 degrees tomorrow night. Like wintertime is definitely here. What are engine reliability mods without voiding the warranty? Unfortunately, none. I'm telling you guys, you touch anything on the motor or the transmission setup and you're going to be voiding warranty. Subaru's going to know if you go and flash a tune on the car also. There's not too much you can do that really will not void warranty. Maybe a radiator. You could probably get away with doing a radiator on the car. Installing a brake brace. Installing brake brace. Brake brace. That's fun to say. Brake brace. I want to buy a 1976 Dodge Charger Daytona. What should I be looking for? And I want to get it with the. I have no idea. I don't know a lot about Mopars. I have no idea what to. I mean, maybe rust. Look out for rust. I am not the person to ask that question to, unfortunately, Ben. But if you do get the car, follow up because that'd be a super cool car to check out. Old V8. Just anything Mopar, USDM, or old American Muscle. They're all cool cars. I would love to have one at some point. They're just like crazy expensive to find. Rebuilding one would actually be kind of fun. That'd actually be kind of cool to do. But I am not the person to ask that question to, unfortunately. Not to be mean, but a lot of your guys' questions he makes videos on. I rewatch his videos all the time. True. I mean, I don't give like as in-depth answers as I do in the videos. So, I mean, I have videos on a lot of the questions you guys ask, but I will definitely answer them here regardless. But if you want a lot more detailed information, it's all pretty much in the videos that we have been making. So I'm going to give you like a rounded version, but if you guys want to learn more about it, definitely go check out the videos. For the 2015 Plus WRX, they have a BRZ manifold, which is the IBR BRZ manifold. I've seen that. So a lot of people swap over to the BRZ manifold or the IBR manifolds to run port injection on their 15 plus FA20 WRXs. Having the ability to have port injection and direct injection like I do on the BRZ is really, I mean, you get a lot, you can make more power because at one interval, the direct injection is taking over. At another interval, the port direction is taking over. And then the port injection is also going to clean off the backside of the valves. So that way you don't have a ton of carbon buildup happening on your valves inside the motor. It really extends out how long you have to do like a slow induction service or a walnut blasting, but it's a very good option to do if that is something you guys are looking at doing later down the road for your FA20s. Well, I'm swapping the VF52 with a VF48, and the intake manual I got from the SD. Okay, if it has the throttle body and you are swapping to a VF48, you should be pretty solid on that. You are still going to need an intercooler. It should be all right then. You should be just fine. Am getting a cob. You already answered my question right there. Am getting a cob front mount. Then there you go, my dude. You should be pretty solid. What do you guys think about my DBA 4000 T3 slotted rotors with Hawk 5.0 pad setup? What do you have on your 15 STI? DBA rotors, especially DBA 4000s, are really good brake rotors to run. I would love to run DBA rotors, but they are definitely they're out of budget for me. So I always buy the StopTech slotted rotors with the StopTech ceramic pads. They've been doing just fine for me in the past. On the BRZ, I have the StopTech slotted rotors with the Hawk HP pads. Also very good setup to have too. But DBA quality stuff, you cannot go wrong with DBA. Fuel injectors are maxed out for 2018 plus cars. Can't install downpipe and intake, pretty much. Don't buy a new Subaru if you're going to buy a Subaru, buy 70s or 80s model Subaru. I wouldn't buy I mean, if you could find like an old Subaru 360 or something, I'm pretty sure that's pre-70s. I'm pretty sure that's like mid-60s. Or like a Baja. If you get oh my God. It is a Baja, not a Baja. Brat. If you could get a Subaru Brat, that's like a solid way to go. Subarus of the 70s and 80s were the best. They were definitely interesting. My 88 XT was, it had a lot of personality as a Subaru. I liked it. I mean, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed my older Subarus. They're weird cars too. Like Subaru's going through some like weird design phase in the 80s where they were like trying out all these like weird things. Like my 88 Subaru XT had a digital dash on it, which was really weird to have, especially as a first car. I'm like, all right, that's kind of interesting. But yeah, I mean, 70s and 80s Subarus were definitely interesting ones. Dang, who's hating with that dislike button? I can't even see the dislike button on here. I can't please everyone, dude. Can never please everyone. What's up? Where did you move at in Washington? I'm in like the Puyallup, Tacoma area. So we're pretty much like an hour south of Seattle or so. We went to Seattle the other day. I don't like going to Seattle. Seattle is just it's not a nice place to go. Thoughts on the Subaru SVX as a project car or just in general? Hello from Michigan, wanting to get an STI after school, but I thought it would be cool to get a project right out of school. An SVX would be an awesome project car. You already get the EG33 in the car, so if you wanted to turbo it, you could easily do that with a standalone ECU, the proper turbo supporting mods, and pretty much be good to go there. You would have to do a manual swap in the car because I'm pretty sure they all did come automatic. But SVXs are like crazy cool cars. I like SVXs. I've never had the opportunity to own one, so I'm vicariously owning one through just having the motor. But an SVX would be an awesome project car. It's going to be a lot of like custom made stuff that you're going to have to be doing, especially with like any motor work you're going to be doing, body panel stuff. It's all pretty much going to be custom one-off that you're going to be like playing with. But definitely awesome project car idea. Would an AOS void my warranty? Yes, an air oil separator will void your warranty. I have a 2015 WRX. I was wondering between the ETS 5-inch intake and the Grimspeed. I've heard both are good, but decided maybe I should go with the ETS just from size, but I'm not sure. So if I'm ever buying a product and it comes down to like ETS, Grimspeed, Cobb, or something like that, just pick pick whatever one is your favorite. Personally, if I were in your situation, I would get the ETS because I prefer ETS over Grimspeed. But get whatever one you prefer at this point. There's nothing wrong with the Grimspeed one. There's nothing wrong with the ETS one either. They're both solid intakes. They pretty much install the exact same way. You can't go wrong with either option. But at that point, it's just like, what brand do you want? What kind of butter do you want on your toast? What are the best coilovers that have those metal cans that eliminate bags? What do you mean? Metal cans that eliminate bags. I don't quite understand what you're looking for. Solid coilovers, though, are definitely going to be like Fortunato 500s, Cygnus Performance, BC Racing. I mean, BC Racing are like some entry level, like somewhat okay-ish coilovers, but Fortunato always going to be my go-to for coilovers. Stock for now, STI looking to go a little lower on Faction Fab FRs down the road. I'm really just trying to avoid rolling and pulling the fenders only because I've heard too many horror stories. It's really not too bad to roll and pull your fenders. I have a whole video on rolling and pulling fenders and showing you guys how to do it, especially how to do it without like damaging the fenders too, because I know that is a lot of people's like fear. I've done it on both the STI and the BRZ. They're both rolled and pulled. That both of them are pulled a pretty significant amount, but you can definitely go a little bit lower, run a little bit more camber, and then adjust your toe so it's proper. So that way you can clear your fender a little bit if you're looking to avoid rolling and pulling them. But I mean, you're at least going to have to roll your fenders at some point because that lip on the inside of there is definitely going to start catching on your tire and start like chipping away at it. Hey man, I appreciate the answers and extra live streams lately. Stuck at home due to the wife getting COVID. The extra streams give me something to do for sure. Hey, anytime, my dude. Hopefully your wife recovers soon. You did say wife, right? Okay, yeah. Hopefully your wife recovers soon, my man. Hopefully it's not too bad, but I enjoy doing the streams and kicking it and hanging out with you guys. Thanks for reminding me for that. I need to have a jacket in the morning. It'll be 50 degrees here in the morning here in the Bluegrass, Kentucky. Yeah, it's getting cold. It's getting cold quick. Dude taking forever for Mighty Car Mods to post another unicorn circuit. Moog's new Exesia sick though. I saw that. The thing is sick looking. I think he said there's only like 6 or 7 of them or something like that. A friend of mine has a Cutlass that a friend of mine has a Cutlass and it's just pure V8 engine. He took everything out of it. Yeah, older like V8s and things like that. Crazy, like simple. They're easy, simple motors to understand. It would be really fun to build one at some point. I need more room if we ever got another car. Like we are maxed out on space here. Even tools. Some tools I'm trying to look at just be like, I don't even have space for that, even though I want it. And then I gotta like figure out a way to put it in there. Yo, got any thoughts on the next gen BRZ? I don't like the front bumper on it. It looks like a 400Z from Nissan. It's also supposed to have a naturally aspirated FA24. Just put a turbo FA20 in that BRZ. Call it a day, and people eat it up like cheese whiz on a chicken and a biscuit cracker. I don't know why my mind just went to that analogy, but I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Subaru being. I feel like it's a little bit of a cop-out move for Subaru to be putting the FA24 in absolutely every car that they are, especially with their new lineup coming out, but we'll see how it does. As for like how it looks, I'm not a huge fan of the front end. It reminds me of the 400Z, and I really like the 400Z. I just don't think that the BRZ should be copying it. Plus, I do think that the new, I think they're calling it an 8.6, looks like incredibly like a Supra. I don't know if you guys have seen that one yet. I don't see why there's so much dislike towards the 4th generation Dodge Charger, 1975, 1970 model year. Those were the last generation Chargers that look great. All right, I'm curious. You've piqued my curiosity, Ben. Let me do a Googles of we'll do like a 1977 Dodge Charger. 1977 Dodge Charger. I wish Streamlabs was working. Am I looking at this right? Is this the right thing? I don't think it looks bad. That doesn't look bad at all. It reminds me. I don't even know what that reminds me of. I don't think it looks bad. I think. Okay, it looks pretty clean, to be honest. I don't know if you guys can really see that. Jesus, Streamlabs is like. I wish Streamlabs was working. It looks pretty good, actually. I actually do kind of like them. What's your next car to buy? New model WRX? No, the next car that I buy will not be a Subaru, unfortunately. It is either going to be a Nissan or a Mazda. So when the time comes, you guys will definitely see. But I have had so many Subarus over the years that I want to mix it up with something new, a car that I definitely haven't had before. For next cars that I'm looking at buying later down the road, it's either going to be an S13, maybe a Miata. If I can find an FD, I'd love to have an FD. Just something outside of the realm of Subarus. Like, I love Subaru to death. I'm not getting rid of the STI or the BRZ at any point. But I do want to get something outside of Subaru as the next car. But I don't know. We'll see. KNS rotors are awesome on my car. They are the DBA blanks. Interesting. Christian, welcome back. Brat. Subaru Brat. That's what it was. That's what I was talking about. Do you know if Subaru will be selling the FA24 STI engine as an assembled engine? I am sure they will. I'm pretty sure they've done it in the past. Actually, I don't think they have done it in the past. I'm pretty sure you're going to have to buy it as a bare long block and then buy all the accessories from there. Yo, 2019 WRX. Asterisk. Oh, is a BRZ intake manifold worth it? Or could that money be spent somewhere? Honestly, it's not. I just have a turbo back. You are a ways away from getting a different intake manifold, my friend. If I were you, I would get like EGR, TGV delete, air oil separator, intake access port, all these other things before even considering jumping onto a different intake manifold. But later down the road, when you're looking to make a lot more power and you've kind of maxed out the FBO, the full bolt-on realm, that would be a good time to take a look at it. So anybody is going to talk about Bunta's STI. Also, did you watch Initial D? I've never watched Initial D. Don't chastise me. I'm sorry. That was probably JB the thumbs down. Probably. I don't know who JB is. Seattle equals rain. For the most part, you are correct. But it's not always like rain. Maybe it's like a mist rain. It like mists. It mists like all year round. Like you go outside, you put your garden hose on mist, and that's what it's like in Washington. I commented on my I commented to my tuner if he knew about the Get a Dom Tune cooling mod. He said he wasn't sold on it, but was happy to install it. It has been actually tested to help decrease. It has been. So Dom has done a lot of, he has like a whole technical document on his website. If anyone is curious on it, go check it out. He's got a lot of information on it. I've talked about that in some older videos as well. Hoovie's Garage had a Subaru SVX. I used to watch Hoovie. I still watch Hoovie's Garage every now and then. He's pretty entertaining. Love Hoovie's Garage. I believe he sold the SVX to another local guy here. Interesting. You say that, AJW, you say that like, is he local to you? Is he local? Is there any reliability mods that won't void warranty? You might be able to get away with like a radiator, but we talked about that one earlier. Should I get a Pro Tune if I only have Stage 1 Plus access port? And Cobb big SF intake, or should I wait until I get more parts later on? If I were you, I would definitely wait till you get more parts later on. It just, from a cost standpoint, it doesn't make a lot of sense unless you're seeing a lot of like reduced dam, increased feedback knock, increased fine knock learn on your OTS map. Doesn't make a lot of sense to go ahead and start like pro tuning at that point. I would definitely wait till you get more parts kind of accumulated. What's my opinion on street tuning? Not a lot of people street tune. There's not a lot of people do it anymore. It's mainly due to like higher traffic on streets. Unless you have like a private like street track you can go do it on, you just don't get a whole lot of like actuation in the RPM range where you can actually like fine tune everything. That's why most people use dynos or e-tunes. But there are still people out there that street tuning. I do think street tuning gives like the best reliability for like daily driving aspects, just because you're putting the car in a scenario where it's actually being driven in like a daily aspect. To that point, they can like really dial it in, so that way it gives you like the best overall dailiness. Dailiness? Is that a word? Dailiness. It gives you the best dailiness overall. Not only Tyler Hoover owned a, he does. He also has an Acura NSX. Should I get a DE or an HR 350Z for a turbo setup? When I had my 350Z, it was the VQ35 DE. I would say get the rev up, to be honest. The HR, unless you can get an HR for a good price, get the HR. But so for those of you that don't know, 350Zs came in 3 engine models. You can get the VQ35 DE, which is just the 3.5 liter base engine. You can get the the VQ35 rev up, which is obviously revs up a little bit, or you can get the HR model, which has the dual intake manifold, the dual intakes and all that. If you're planning on turbo the car, I don't really see a point in getting the HR. If I were you, I'd get if you can get a rev up, I would get a rev up. Tanner, you should buy a Subaru Vivo as a project car, and it would be funny and cool. It's a rally car that breaks all the Subaru norms. I'm going to have to look that one up after this because I don't think I've seen a Subaru Vivo before. His new Becker is getting an EJ. I'm so curious on that one. I was looking at ETS and going to get the Grimspeed boost controller, which was cheaper. Honestly, if you're getting a boost controller, all boost controllers pretty much do the exact same thing. They're all pretty much... I'm going to be honest, they're all the exact same thing. Get whatever one is like within your budget, which was cheaper than the Stealth Box Grimspeed with the boost controller included. Honestly, I mean, I've ran Grimspeed, Cobb, AEM. I've used universal boost controllers before, Delicious Tuning boost controllers. They all do the exact same thing. Get whatever one you're feeling at whatever price you want to pay. You talk about it getting cold. It's still warm in here in North Carolina. Jealous. It's times like this where I kind of miss living in Louisiana, where like it never really got like it got cold in the mornings. Don't get me wrong, but it heated up like pretty quick into like the early morning. But yeah, it's supposed to be like 28 degrees as the low this weekend, so that'll be exciting. We're supposed to get a lot of snow this winter though, so expect some snow videos this winter time in the BRZ. Thanks for answering the questions. Check out Lucy SVX on YouTube. Pretty cool. We'll definitely have to check it out. Back in 1984, you get a Dodge Daytona Turbo Z with a 5-speed manual transmission and a Chrysler 2.2-liter 4-cylinder turbo. That seems like it would be a fun car. 146 horsepower doesn't seem like a lot of horsepower nowadays, but back then, I mean, that's a good amount of jam to be able to play around with. Hi from Ireland. What's going on? What's going on, Adrian? If you could buy any pre-1995 Japanese car, what would you pick? So I'm guessing that money is not an option, or money is not like our drawback in this scenario. Jay guesses Nissan. It's kind of close. It would be a Datsun. So I've always wanted like a super clean 280Z. I used to have a 280ZX, and I kind of settled on it because I got it for like $500. It ran and drove once. But if money was not a factor and I could just get anything, it would be a super clean 280Z, 100% OEM, and then I would just modify the hell out of it at that point. So definitely a 280Z. I love 280Zs. Love Datsuns, love Nissan, or Nissan Sunny, or Datsun Sunny. You know, the little Sunny trucks. Those things are awesome too. I love Datsuns. Okay, I have a soft spot for Datsuns. Love the videos. Keep it up, man. Anytime, dude. Always appreciate the support. The 25-year import ban sucks for you guys, by the way. Oh, trust me, I know. It sucks, too, because I used to have a 1993 Skyline GTST Type M. I bought the car. It came over from Australia. Whoever modified the car before me, it was interestingly put together. Let me say that. It was weirdly put together. The Skyline... It had so many issues. By the time a car gets 25 years old and we're able to import it here in the United States, if you're not spending north of $30,000 to $40,000 on an import here for like a Chaser, an older GTR, any of that type of stuff, you're getting like the bottom of the barrel ones, which unless you're buying from someone in Japan who can import it over here for you, or from Australia. But the one I got, it had so many issues that it just did not make sense to keep it. Everything on it was just... The first night I had it, I broke it. I pushed a button on the dash, and the button fell into the dash, and it was sad. It was sad. FD, that's what I'm saying. FC. Tanner, the EOS M50 is awesome. Thanks for the recommendation. Anytime I do, that is the camera that I started out with, was the EOS Canon M50. Now my kind of point and shoot camera is this little guy here. So whenever I'm not using my giant DSLR, this thing gets the work done for pretty much most of the time. Whenever I'm out and about on the go, and I can just like put this thing in my pocket. But the M50, awesome starting camera. I'm stationed in Okinawa trying to get a S13. You should get one as well. Maybe we could. That would be awesome. I'd love it. I want an S13 hatch. They're so hard to find though, and they're like so expensive up here too. Bunta Initial D. I thought drove a B22 STI, the 2-door 22B. After my engine warranty is done, is it worth it to get an AOS? 100% yes. I have a whole video on if you should void your warranty or not. That's totally going to be up to you if you want to do that. But yeah, an AOS should be your first mod as soon as you get outside of warranty. Tyler lives a few miles from me in Wichita, Kansas. Interesting. I did not know that. I did not know he was in Kansas. I've driven through Kansas. Jeez, I can't even Kansas. I've driven through there a couple times. It's the part that I drove through was very flat. was a very flat state when I drove through it. Front wheel drive Subi. Yeah, there are older Subarus are typically front wheel drive. 15 WRX 78K, hardly drive it. I don't have an AOS like I know I should. Catless, no mufflers, E-Tune, TGR, EGV, EGR deletes intake. It's starting to act up a little bit of knock. Can I mess up walnut blasting? You can mess up walnut blasting, but it's pretty hard to do so. So whenever you go to walnut blast, they have attachments that you just bolt over to the intake ports. You need to make sure your valves are closed. If your valves are open and you're blasting media inside of the cylinder head, you're obviously going to get media inside of the heads, which you don't want to do. So just make sure your valves are closed and you won't have any problems. Thank you for being the Subi goat. Bro, all the knowledge and awesome videos. You're so much help. I definitely don't know anything, but everything that I do know, I'm always open and trying to share with you guys. I still have a lot to learn myself, but I share what I can. Share what I can. I'm here for you guys. Get HR. They can hold up to 5. Oh, can they? I didn't know the HR could hold that much. All right, get the HR then. Get the HR if they can hold up to 600 wheel horsepower. Today was freak warm. Almost got up to 80. Then it thundered at 7 p.m. That's weird. It's just like wet, cold, and rainy here. That's what we get. Yo, I currently have a Stage 1 Plus. What's your opinion? What part should I get next? I'm looking to get around a 300, 310 range. I'm also looking to make it reliable as well. Teddy, I have no idea what your car is, my friend. I don't know how to answer that question. Pre-1995 Mitsubishi 3000 GT VR4, Eclipse GTX all-wheel drive, Skyline GT RR32, the R32. Yo, Dodge Neon SRT for cheap. We have an SRT in the garage. We have a Dodge Neon SRT in the garage that hasn't ran in like 8 years, but the motor's already built and back in the car. Chrysler Conquest or Mitsubishi Starion will be the best pre-1995 JDM car you can buy. My buddy Justin actually has a Starion. They're interesting cars. What up, bro? What up, Julian? Any mod recommendations for a rally build? Lift the car, a lot of skid plates, make it as reliable as you can because you're going to be beating the hell out of a rally car. Do you have any suggestions for a good head unit with Apple Play? I do. Somewhere on the channel, I posted it like a month or two ago. We did a head unit in the BRZ. It has really good Android Auto and really good Apple CarPlay for like $300. It's a Sony head unit. I don't remember the model number on it, but definitely go check that video out. And that is the one that I always suggest. Ex-military, I owned an R34 when I lived in Okinawa, Japan. My older roommate owned an R32 GTR. Both of us only paid $5,000. To be honest, as a former owner of the Skyline, they're not worth importing. I'll agree with that. Like mine was not a GTR. Mine was a GTST. But I mean, I paid $13,000 for a 25-year-old Nissan. I can't get behind doing it again. It's just for the amount of money you're spending on something. You can get like the cars nowadays have so much better tech, safety, handling, suspension setups than like old 95 like JDM cars. But for me, I mean, I would definitely love to have some of them only if they were for like the right price. Like, I don't know. I've done the times where you spend way too much money on a car that you shouldn't have, and it's just. We need more driving vlogs or full choo-choo videos. I'm trying to get one done on the BRZ here soon. I need to fix it because I went full send into a curb with the BRZ, so I'm fixing the BRZ tomorrow so that way we can get some more driving videos out. Yo, bro, just bought a WRX 2020 and I want to upgrade the speakers because the stock speakers suck. Any recommendations? The Harman Kardon speakers, if you can get them for a good deal, are actually a really good upgrade over stock. I have the Harman Kardon system in the STI, and Melanie has it in her Impreza, and we're both pretty impressed for a stock head unit system. The Harman Kardon setup is actually pretty good. Did you ever own older Subarus? Maybe you answered it before. Yes. So I've had a 2002 WRX. I've had a 2006 STI, another 2006 STI, a 2007 STI, a 2008 STI, a 2011 STI, a 2011 WRX, a 2015 WRX, a 2016 WRX, my 2017 STI. I've had a couple FRSs, BRZs. I had my old 2006 Forester. I've had a lot of Subarus. I've had way too many. There's more of them. Those are just the ones that come off like top of the head. Thank you. Got it. Fox. Sold. For the first question earlier about the 310, my car's a 2020 WRX. Gotcha. So a tune TGR TGV EGR delete. I keep getting those I keep commingling those together. Air oil separator, J pipe, cat back intake, boost controller. That should get you near 300 wheel horsepower. Maybe like a turbo inlet, a bypass valve, just to ensure the reliability is there. If you want to, charge pipe and an intercooler will definitely make it a little bit easier, but that should get you to about 300 and 310. What are good spoilers? Wings that are worth the money. I'm picky when it comes to spoilers or wings. Obviously, OEM, APR, Veris. Those are really the only ones come to mind. I'm not a huge fan of a lot of the chassis mount wings out there, unless they're installed properly. I've seen some big wings installed to trunks before, and they're installed with the tiniest of base plates I've ever seen, and it's just not safe. APR is pretty much always my go-to for wings, though. Do I know why your 2010 STI reaches 220 degrees Fahrenheit when warming it up? What do you think I should do? Check your thermostat. I'm guessing 220, you're talking about coolant temp and not oil temp. But definitely check your thermostat, see if your thermostat is broken. You can also see if you have air in your coolant system, which is going to make it run a little bit hotter also, so you can definitely try to bleed it out. That's a Linkin Park reference. I just realized that. You can definitely try to bleed the air out also, but that's what comes to mind initially. What is my overall opinion of the Toyota Celica GT? So my best friend Eric actually used to have a couple Toyota Celicas. They were 80s models. They were awesome. 80s JDM cars for some reason. I mean, I don't know why, but they're awesome little cars. I liked the Toyota Celica when he had it. His was a GT. I don't know what year range you're referring to, but the 80s GT, awesome car. Is it worth getting a bypass valve? Only if you're turning up the boost. Your stock bypass valve can only really reliably retain around, it depends on the car, but the STI is good for about 21 PSI. You can crush the top of it a little bit to really stiffen up the spring a hair, and it's a little bit better. But at some point, yes, when you turn up the boost, a bypass valve is worth getting. Best bypass valve for top mount intercooler or on STI or just in general. I always like the Cobb bypass valve. Perrin makes one, but I think the looks a little bit too big. Who else? Boomba makes a pretty good one. Grimspeeds isn't too bad. I think Grimspeed makes one. Does Grimspeed make one? I'm pretty sure Grimspeed makes one. I prefer Buffalo Wild Wings for wings. B-dubs. Where did I had some really good wings. Wingstop the other day was pretty solid. Just put my stock wheels back on with new winter tires. TPMS lights have been on since I took them off last summer, but now I can't get rid of the TPMS light. Do they need to be in the same position? They don't need to be in the same position, but because they've been off for so long, your system might just have been well, they're not here, so we're just kind of giving it the boot to the TPMS system. So just swing by Subaru. They should be able to reprogram your TPMS sensors in a matter of 5 minutes. Typically, whenever I go down there and have them do it, they always do it for free. So they might just go through, just walk by each wheel and just reprogram them for you. Oh, Lincoln Park. Yo, what's good, Chief? Anthony, look who it is, making dinner now and enjoying the stream. What's going on, dude? Anthony, I heard you live down the street. I heard you moved up here from what Matt was telling me. Hey, yo, what's going on, Bradley? WRX Dom, I'm gonna go. See ya. Keep up the great videos. Can't wait to see more of the EG33 content. Good night. Good night, WRX Dom, and sweet dreams, my friend. You should look up the Subaru Vivo. I have it on the board. I will definitely check it out. My phone's vibrating. All right, a couple more questions, and I am definitely hopping off here because we've been on here for about 90 minutes. I'm going to play a little bit of Call of Duty and go make some dinner. Is it worth doing internal engine modifications such as performance pistons? If you want more power, then definitely yes. I'm assuming they'll need a tune, correct? Definitely advised. Definitely advised if you're going to be doing that. Is the OLM STI wing good? I'm not a huge fan of OLM or Subi Speed products. A lot of them are made in, not that it's a bad thing, but a lot of them are made in overseas, which means I've seen quality defects from them, manufacturing defects. I wouldn't recommend OLM or Subi Speed for those. Okay, I've been trying to figure this out for a while. I've got a 2013 WRX with a DW65C. Car's throwing a cell for fuel temp sensor. Any ideas? Go in there, unplug the top of the sensor on the top of the fuel basket, take a look at the actual wiring harness, and see if any of the wires are corroded. If you get like a white, like gunky filminess, kind of like dried toothpaste on any of the leads, clean it off, plug it back in. That might be your issue. When you went to swap them out, maybe you got a little bit of fuel on the connectors and it just started to corrode away at it. If that is the case, you can definitely just plug it back in, and hopefully that should fix your issue. This is the question for everybody. What is your opinion of the General Motors Oldsmobile 5.7 liter diesel V8 engine that they put back in many of their cars and trucks in the late 70s and 80s? I have no idea. I didn't even know that engine was a thing, so I will check that out and get back to that one in the next stream. When you get into rotaries, so we can get, yeah, let's do it. Let's get into rotaries. When you get into rotaries, so we can geek out about no piston woes. That's what I'm saying. I like it. Damn right, soon we'll have to come back. That's what I'm saying, dude. All right, you guys. I'm hopping off. It has been a solid 90 minutes. We are going to be doing another stream tomorrow night. I will get Streamlabs to work, so that way we can do some subscribers garage, take a look at some of your guys' cars. We can do some other just fun internet things, kind of kick it and hang out and whatnot. So I appreciate everyone swinging by. Fox, I definitely appreciate you grabbing a membership to the channel and the donos as well. We'll probably do it. We'll do live stream at 6 o'clock p.m. PST tomorrow. So shoot for the same time. So I hope everyone has an awesome Friday night. Thanks for swinging by, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, homies. Woo!